Powered by Riverside FM.
The Minnesota Vikings 2025 draft, in my opinion, it's been a pretty good draft in terms of grades. You know, I don't try to put out a whole lot of grades because you really don't know until about 2-3 years down the line whether or not all of these guys are going to make an impact sort of way. You look at, you know, some of the picks that Kwesi has had in the past. You can kind of evaluate those picks now because it's been a couple of years. But these guys you won't know for a couple of years. And I think a lot of it is going to hinge on what the Minnesota Vikings first-round pick, Donovan Jackson, does. That offensive line spot, I think that's going to be the head of it. Just going through an article by, I hope I'm pronouncing this guy's name right, Will Ragatz. Talking about the members of the 2025 Vikings class. You got Donovan Jackson. You got Tay Felton. You got Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. You got Kobe King. And then you got Gavin Bartholomew. You know, when you look at a guy like Donovan Jackson, the success, it says here, Will Ragatz said, the success of the draft class for the Minnesota Vikings will largely hinge on whether or not Jackson pans out as a quality starting guard for a long time. They believe he has all the makings of an excellent player at left guard, where he will almost certainly beat out Blake Brandel to be the Vikings' Week 1 starter. He also has the flexibility to play tackle. And I mentioned that in my last podcast. Like, I think that's key with Christian Darrisaw being up in the air in terms of whether or not he's going to be available to start the season. Obviously, we know Christian Darrisaw is our franchise left tackle. He's going to be back eventually. But the question is, when will he be back? I mean, that's going to be the question mark for the Minnesota Vikings. Then you got their third-round pick, Tay Felton. Will goes on to say the case for Felton about production, athleticism, and he's a special teams value. He had a huge season at Maryland. And when he says he's had a huge season at Maryland, we're talking about 96 catches for 1,200 yards. Basically, he runs a 4.40. So the kid has a little speed, and he had 9 touchdowns last year. Keep in mind, he played in one of the best college football conferences in the country. I don't think anybody speculates that the Big Ten and the SEC are the top 2 college conferences there is. Depending on who you are, what your lens is, who's the best, the Big Ten or the SEC, last year we don't know. But this kid led the Big Ten in receiving. Now, sit back and think about the receivers in the Big Ten. This kid was the best out of the lot. I mean, you look at Ohio State, you're talking about Emeka Egbuka, and I guess I shouldn't say the best. There's more to playing wide receiver than just stats. But this kid put up numbers in a competitive conference, one of the best conferences in the league, going up against some really, really tough defenses. So really good pick by the Vikings. And then you got Georgia's defensive lineman, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. Here's what they say about Ingram Dawkins. He might be viewed to some as a bit of a tweener, and I can see that. Considering he's around 6'5", 280 pounds, the Vikings simply view him as an impactful player. Basically, he is another piece to the puzzle that can be in that rotation in terms of the Brian Flores defense. Think about how many players. I mean, there were times where they were rotating 17 and 18 players last year for the Minnesota Vikings defense. So that depth has to be there. Are we pretty good at linebacker? Are we settled at linebacker? Yes. Is he a hybrid? Yes. Can he play on the D-line or play linebacker? Yes. That versatility, you're going to be able to plug him into a lot of different areas and, again, be a part of that rotation. And that is why I think it is a gem of a pick for the Minnesota Vikings. And then you talk about linebacker Kobe King. Here's what they're saying about Kobe King. Kobe King is a bit of a throwback linebacker who is an outstanding run defender. His 90.8 PFF grade against run defense since 2023 is second among all linebackers during that span. King is a thumper with a quick first step to make plays coming downhill. Basically, he's a run stuffer, run stopper. He's a gap filler, and he's a guy that likes to hit. Does that sound like qualities that fits with the Brian Flores defense? Absolutely he does. Absolutely he does. So Kobe King is another great pick by the Minnesota Vikings. And then their 6th-round pick, tight end Gavin Bartholomew. Here's what they're saying about him. Last but not least, Bartholomew is a logical addition from the Minnesota Vikings who need a number 3 tight end. He's an excellent athletic tight end with size, speed, and explosiveness. This kid is going to make the team. He would be a great 3rd tight end for the Minnesota Vikings behind Oliver and behind our guy Hawkinson. So, again, he fits into the scheme with his athleticism, his versatility in terms of being able to block, and also being able to pass catch in different formations in terms of being an insurance policy for J.J. McCarthy if needs be. So he fits that piece to the puzzle. I am extremely happy with what the Minnesota Vikings has done. And then the cherry on top of the sundae is that the Minnesota Vikings have found their number 2 quarterback in Sam Howell. Minnesota Vikings traded for Sam Howell today, getting him from the Seattle Seahawks. He's supposed to be there. You know, that quarterback room is getting a little bit crowded with Locke, leaving the Giants, going to the Seattle Seahawks. It looks like Sam Howell was the odd man out. Sam Howell is a slinger. He had some pretty good games when he played for the Washington Commanders. And I can't imagine once the quarterback whisperer gets his hands on him, I think Sam Howell is going to do some great things for the Minnesota Vikings. So we have our number 2 quarterback behind J.J. McCarthy. I wouldn't necessarily call him a big-time, experienced type veteran, but he has some games under his belt. He's been in the league for a little bit, and he's started some games. So in terms of being a guy that can come in and help J.J. McCarthy as well as compete with J.J. McCarthy, I think that's a great signing for the Minnesota Vikings. And this is what I say, guys. You got to trust Kwesi. You got to trust KOC. And you got to trust the Minnesota Vikings. I like all of their moves that they made. I really like their 1st-round pick, Donovan Jackson. I think he completes the puzzle in that offensive line. And I think more Minnesota Viking fans to get an opportunity to watch his highlights and watch him play, I think they're going to like that pick even more. So thumbs up, kudos to Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and KOC. Again, we won't be able to really evaluate these picks for a couple of years, but on the surface, these things look really good. This has been Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see ya when we see ya. Way to go, Kwesi. Way to go, Vikes. Skol!